Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate is too big. 6 months ago, no wait, 8 months ago, I pledged to get to Bloodbath Diablos, hoping I could do it before Wilds, but with Wilds being 2 months away, this game just will not let me get to Bloodbath Diablos. Welcome back, Classy Crew. It has been quite a while since my last journal and my quest to complete the pledge in Monster Hunter GU. If you're just joining, that quest is, of course, to get to Bloodbath Diablos and slay it with every single weapon in the game. But here I am at the gates of G rank, and I'm just like not progressing. I have been grinding materials since my last journal. I've also been traveling Japan, so I mean, it's not like I have been playing 24/7. And all that to say, I have really come to appreciate how hard this game is in terms of content. Like, I knew going in that there was just under 1,000 quests to do. I know that trying to play all 14 weapons and the Prowler is a daunting task. And then I learned that, upgrading and maintaining all of those weapons and an armor set for those weapons just took it over the top. So overall, this pledge is too big, and I'm pretty confident that there's just no way I will defeat Bloodbath Diablos 14 times before Wilds drops. I have just started G1. I'm struggling against Jan Kutku, which has taken me 25 minutes just to slay. Between the 4 quests I have left in G1, the 21 other G rank quests I have to get to the end of the game to unlock my Hunter rank, to then grind who knows how many more quests to unlock Bloodbath Diablos, to then have to build 14 armor sets and upgrade 14 weapons, to then try to slay Bloodbath Diablos 14 times, assuming I'm successful on the first time, to do that all in the span of 2 months, 2 to 3 streams a week. I think it's time. I think this boy here has finally met reality, and it's just not going to happen. I think we can all throw the fantasy, whimsical hopes and dreams out the window. It's not happening, guys. And what does that mean? Does that mean I'm going to delay my Wilds playthrough? Does that mean I'm going to put GU on the back burner along with the Sunbreak pledge? No, we're not going to do that again. I'm going to go back to how I started this whole Monster Hunter channel format. And we're going to continue playing the GU pledge on Tuesdays, and we're going to be playing Wilds on Thursdays when it eventually comes out. So I'm going to be playing 2 Monster Hunter games in parallel like I used to. And once that's done, something else is going to replace on Tuesdays. And that's fine. That means my progress through Wilds is going to be nice and slow, the way I like it. I like for all of you to go ahead of me, play the game, knock out all the bugs, tell me how to play. That's how I like to play it. So anyways, here's an update on where I'm at in GU. Now that I've made it to the gates of G rank, I've slain the Diablos, not the Bloodbath one, which opens up the quest list for G rank. G1 is before me. There are 5 key quests, including the urgent to unlock G2, and I think that's going to be my focus going forward, as I have been pretty much just working on getting materials to get all my weapons to maxed out high rank level. And I can share with you the status of all those weapons. They're either at max level for high rank, or they're 1 level away. And all of them require ridiculous mats, like either a Rathlos Ruby or some kind of hyper part, which I have come to absolutely despise the hyper parts. So hyper monsters, which is just basically a monster with more HP and a little bit more attack damage and a little 2 shiny bits to them, are monsters that do more damage and take more time to kill, and they drop these hyper parts, which can only be won from the reward screen. You cannot carve a hyper part off a hyper monster, I've learned. And I think for every spot on the reward screen, you have a 23% chance of getting things like hyper scales, hyper teeth, every hyper part you want. But to my experience and from what I've seen online, it seems like most of the time you're getting one of the hyper parts that you're looking for, which makes it exceptionally grindy because you just got to do these over and over. And I'm doing this in multiplayer, so it's not quite as bad as if I was doing this solo. If I was doing this solo, I'd be here for another 5 years. So I've been hunting a lot of Grimclaw, Tigrex. Actually, it's the only Deviant I have hunted all the way up to level 10, which I think eventually something makes it an EX, or maybe 10 is an EX. I'm not quite sure about that. And I've learned the pains of hunting a Deviant weapon. So I've got 3 Deviant weapons right now. One is when it comes to the Grimclaw Tigrex, I am doing the Charge Blade and the Hunting Horn. And what I don't like about this is you have to level up your weapon 10 times, 1 time for every Deviant level. And it's such minuscule upgrades. It's like, oh, here's a little bit more sharpness. Sometimes every like 3-4 levels, we'll give you 10 more damage, 10 more raw damage or whatever it is. And it just feels really unsatisfying to see your weapon inch up in power so small and so incremental. So I do not like the Deviant grind. And what I've learned, Rurikon mentioned this when I was on chatting with him, but I didn't quite register him until I played the game. When it comes to grinding out Deviants, if you're playing in multiplayer, the Deviant quest unlocks for the next Deviant level only if you are the quest bringer. So if you're the host that's posting the quest, then you finish that quest, only the host does that, even though there's 4 hunters that go. So if all 4 hunters want to get to level 3, all 4 hunters have to do the level 2 quest 4 times, each individual hunter posting the quest their own time. That's just ridiculous. So on top of this game's immense bloat, there's a lot of decisions that just made it really grindy. And I'm glad a lot of those decisions were completely reversed in the next gen of World and Rise, where they're pretty much just throwing parts at you and carve whatever, make whatever monster part you want, make any armor part you want. It's just way more relaxed. And maybe having been born in that generation has spoiled me, because every time you dip into the old world, which is where I've been for the last 3 years, it's just pain, pain, pain. Celtis Queen for Insect Glaive, which I maxed out, by the way. I've been using the Nargacuga Insect Glaive, and it needed some Celtis Queen parts, so that's done. The Hypers, oh my goodness, the Hyper Astalos, the Hyper Nargacuga. My armor is 1 piece away from being maxed out. Every slot of armor needs a Rathalos Ruby, which I'm like, I'm not going to be like harvesting. I think I'm missing 3 rubies for 3 parts of my armor. I'm like, I'm not going to be grinding those out for a little bit more defense. At this stage, I think I've grinded everything out enough that I'm like, we're just going to go for it. G1 has 4 monsters left for me to hunt. One is a Gyps Roast. I'm like, okay, that's going to be pain, but whatever. There's a Cephadrome and Hermitor, which also pain, but whatever, I can hunt it. A Geodrome and a Bulldrome, which that's probably the easiest. And then 2 Royal Ludroth. And then G2, it's a little bit more painful, where we've got a Rathian, a Plessioth, a Congalala, Nursilla, Volvidon, and a Great Macau. Basarios and Baroth. Painful, but, it sounds doable. It's not until G3 where we get into the Fated 4, and that's some serious damage there. So I'm tempted to try to just plow through G1 and maybe a little bit of G2, and then we're going to bulk up our armor, bulk up our weapons into the G rank grade, and then really prepare again before we take on the Fated 4 at G3 rank, and then there's G4. Oh, I've also learned through this grind that Lagicruise, or Lagia, whatever you guys call them, that when you bring a gun to that fight, it is a lot easier. And this is one of my major takeaways about this whole GU pledge of playing all the weapons. The gun can really make a fight much easier. A lot of fights that I used to hate, like Kezu fights, yeah, they're pretty much trivial with a light bowgun. You're just like, oh, Kezu, you're not fast enough. 2. Now, I was in multiplayer when I did the laggy fights with the guns, so a lot of the aggro was on my teammates, but it was still a lot easier because I'm away from all of that AoE spam. And if I was doing it solo, probably a different story. So here we go. This is where we're at with all the weapon updates. So on the Great Sword, we are going in with the Spartacus Blade level 2. It's 1 away from being maxed out higher rank. I don't think I care at this point. Long Sword, we're at the Tigran Edge. Level 4, again, 1 level away from being maxed, don't care. Sword and Shield, we got the Blazing Falchion, which is the Rathalos weapon. That's 1 away from max. For Dual Blades, it's the Nightfall Daggers, which is hunted. You get it from doing the, what's that? It's a Nargacuga. It's a Silverwind Nargacuga. The Hammer is maxed out. It's the Astalos Smasher, built from Astalos parts, of course. Hunting Horn is with the Grimclaw, and it's 1 away from maxed out, so in pretty good shape. The Lance, I'm using the Verdant Tail, which is an Astalos build, and it's 1 away from being maxed out. Gun Lance, I'm just using the Red Devil Smasher, which is made from the Tetsukabra. It's 1 again from being maxed out. It worked okay on the Nakarkos, so I think it's ready for G rank. On the Switch Axe, we've got the Dios Axe, my classic Switch Axe model. It's at level 4, needs to be level 5. This is from Brachydios, of course. Charge Blade, we're using the Grimclaw, and we're again, this one we're actually 3 levels away from being maxed out. So I just need some more parts from the Grimclaw. Insect Glaive maxed out using the Nargacuga build. Light Bowgun also using Nargacuga, also maxed out. So what I'm seeing here is Nargacuga parts are actually easy to come by. And then the Heavy Bowgun, I'm going the route of the Zinogre build, which is why I needed the Laggy to build up into the Zinogre tree. That's at Usurper's Tremor. and I think it's 1 or 2 levels away from being maxed out. And then finally, the bow is also maxed out. I'm going with the Herald's bow, which is not a specific monster. It's like using all sorts of miscellaneous parts, and it gives me a really heavy arrow, so I always shoot it above the monster, and then it just goes like choo-choo. It's like rocks falling on the monster. It's really satisfying. So that's where I'm at. I think I just cannot keep grinding. Like, I want to progress and grind in a healthy amount. So that's the weapons I'm taking with me into G rank. We're going to take out G1 next, and then we're going to try to make some progress in G2. And if these are just absolute pains in walls, we're going to grind out a G rank armor set. I might need to get something to make me a little bit less squishy. We'll see how it goes. And also there's some high rank village quests I still want to try. Specifically, I saw a Matsu's available there, which I've never hunted in the old world. I want to try that one. And our good boy Alatreon is here, which I have heard he's absolutely atrocious in this game. So I got to check that out. Another thing I learned thanks to a database online is actually the average health pool of a lot of, or HP pool of these monsters at the like G1, G2, G3 rank. And so for reference, my hub Nakarkos, which I hunted solo with the gun lance in my last video, that thing has 12,000 HP. Going into G1, all of these monsters, on average, the quests, you have to deal about 7,000 to 8,000 damage. So it's either the monster has about 7,000 to 8,000, or if it's a double monster quest, they each have 4,000 to 5,000 HP each. So that seems pretty comfortable with what I have, because I am dishing out 12,000 damage in a half hour of hunt. And then when you get into G2, that goes up to closer to an average of like 8,000 to 9,000. And then when you get into G3 with the Fated 4, you're down in the 10,000 to 12,000 HP category. And then once you get to G4, you're in absolute disgusting territory. Some stuff goes above 15,000 HP. I don't know really how much like my weapon does damage, but I think it's just a good indicator knowing the cargoes took me like, I forget, like 30 minutes and I did 12,000 damage there. So it gives me a sense of what I can do on all these other monsters. So that's where we're at. Want to give you an update. It's been like a month and a half since the last video. I'm going to do as much progress I can before Wilds, and then we're going to be dual playing 2 Monster Hunters, Old World and New World, which should be quite interesting to compare them. Because in Wilds, I will be playing all the weapons. So I look forward to seeing what that's going to be like side by side. So I'll see you on the next journal update. Thanks for watching, as always, and until next time, keep it classy.